The entire bank lobby fell silent over $9. Customers stopped filling out deposit slips, security guards looked toward the front counter, and employees froze as a hardworking single father stood clutching his worn wallet while the bank manager publicly humiliated him. She looked at his faded clothes, his old work boots, and the lunchbox he carried after finishing a morning construction shift, then decided that a man who could not cover a tiny account shortage did not deserve respect. What nobody in that bright daytime bank knew was that the same quiet father held the legal authority to move $86 million before sunset. By the end of that ordinary afternoon, the woman who mocked him would lose far more than her pride, proving that kindness is never measured by the size of a bank account. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Tales Journey. Your support helps us continue sharing heartfelt stories that remind the world compassion always matters. Every weekday morning began the same way for 38-year-old Elias Rowan. The sun had already risen over the quiet city streets as he prepared breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter, Ivy. Their tiny rented apartment was simple but spotless because Elias believed dignity never depended on wealth. Since losing his wife, Marissa, to a sudden illness 4 years earlier, every sunrise had become another promise that he would never allow his daughter to feel abandoned. He worked long hours repairing commercial buildings, accepted every overtime shift available, and still found time to braid Ivy's hair before school. Money was always tight, but love filled every corner of their small home. That particular morning seemed no different. Warm daylight poured through the apartment window as Ivy smiled while showing her father a drawing she had made of the two of them standing beneath a giant tree. She had written underneath it that her father was her hero because heroes never gave up. Elias folded the picture carefully into his pocket before leaving for work. He carried it everywhere because it reminded him why every sacrifice mattered. After finishing several exhausting hours repairing the exterior of an office complex, Elias realized his automatic payment for electricity had processed earlier than expected. His checking account was short by only $9, and he needed to make a quick deposit before another small payment was rejected. Covered with harmless construction dust, he walked into the nearest branch of Ashton National Bank shortly before noon. Sunlight streamed through the large glass windows, making the polished marble floor shine. Business professionals moved through the lobby while tellers greeted customers with practiced smiles. Unfortunately, branch manager Vanessa Caldwell noticed Elias before anyone else could help him. Vanessa had built a reputation for judging people by appearance. She believed expensive suits represented success while worn clothing represented failure. As she watched Elias approach the counter, she assumed he would create trouble instead of business. When Elias politely explained that he only needed assistance because of a small account issue, Vanessa interrupted him before he could finish. She spoke loudly enough that nearby customers turned to look. She suggested that people who could not manage $9 should learn financial responsibility before entering a bank. Her words echoed through the bright lobby like cold steel. Elias lowered his eyes, not because he was ashamed of being poor, but because he wanted to protect his dignity and avoid creating a scene that his daughter would never have wanted him to cause. Instead of offering help, Vanessa accused him of wasting employee time. She ordered security to escort him outside and instructed staff to close his personal account because, according to her, he was not the type of customer the branch wanted. The humiliation lasted only minutes, but it felt much longer. Customers watched silently, some uncomfortable, others pretending not to notice. Elias quietly gathered his wallet and lunchbox and walked into the afternoon sunlight without raising his voice once. What Vanessa never bothered to learn was that Elias had another role beyond construction work. Years earlier, before tragedy changed his life, he had worked as a financial compliance specialist for a respected investment family. After the elderly founder passed away, Elias became one of the legally appointed trustees responsible for protecting the family's charitable foundation. His modest lifestyle had never changed because he believed wealth should serve people instead of changing them. The foundation's assets, worth more than $86 million, were scheduled to be transferred into a new banking partnership that very afternoon. Elias had been visiting Ashton National not only for his personal account but also to finalize which branch would receive the foundation's business. Still carrying the little drawing from Ivy in his pocket, Elias sat quietly on a nearby park bench beneath the bright blue daytime sky. He wondered if perhaps another bank would value people more than appearances. He looked at the drawing, smiled gently, and remembered his late wife's favorite words. She had always believed that character reveals itself most clearly when life becomes difficult. Within an hour, Elias contacted the foundation's legal team and requested that every document be redirected to another financial institution that had treated their organization with respect during previous meetings. The decision was entirely within his authority. Millions of dollars in investments, charitable funds, payroll services, and future accounts would no longer flow through Ashton National's branch. The transfer required only a few signatures. While Elias quietly completed the paperwork elsewhere, Vanessa celebrated what she believed had been another successful day of protecting the bank's image. She proudly informed her regional office that she had removed a troublesome customer from the branch. She never imagined that executives at headquarters were preparing for one of the largest client relationships in the bank's regional history, unaware that the person they expected to impress had already walked through their doors, and been thrown out over $9. The next morning arrived with brilliant sunshine, but the atmosphere inside Ashton National Bank was anything but bright. Regional executives filled the conference room, expecting to welcome the representative of the Rowan Family Legacy Foundation and complete the transfer of $86 million in assets. The branch had spent weeks preparing for the meeting. Fresh flowers decorated the lobby, refreshments were arranged on polished tables, and every employee had been instructed to treat the guest with exceptional care. Vanessa Caldwell stood proudly in her finest business suit, convinced she would soon receive praise for bringing such a prestigious client to the branch. Then the conference room doors opened, and the man she had humiliated the previous afternoon calmly walked inside carrying the same worn leather folder and the same faded lunchbox. The color drained from Vanessa's face. Elias Rowan greeted the executives with quiet respect, but there was sadness in his eyes rather than anger. The regional director immediately welcomed him, thanking him for serving as trustee of the foundation and apologizing for the inconvenience of the previous day's scheduling confusion. It took only seconds for everyone in the room to realize something was terribly wrong when Elias politely explained that there would be no meeting regarding the deposit. Instead, he informed them that the foundation had officially authorized the complete withdrawal and transfer of its $86 million to another institution that had demonstrated kindness and professionalism to every visitor, regardless of appearance. Silence spread across the room. The executives stared at one another in disbelief. The opportunity they had pursued for months had disappeared overnight. Elias never raised his voice or spoke with bitterness. He simply explained that a financial institution entrusted with protecting people's futures must first know how to respect human dignity. If a hardworking father could be publicly embarrassed over $9, then elderly customers, struggling families, and ordinary workers might one day experience the same treatment. A bank that measured people by clothing instead of character was not worthy of managing a charitable foundation built on compassion. An internal investigation began immediately. Security footage from the previous afternoon confirmed every detail. Employees admitted that Elias had remained calm and respectful while Vanessa mocked him in front of customers. Several witnesses submitted written complaints describing how uncomfortable they had felt watching the incident. The regional executives realized the damage extended beyond losing $86 million. The bank's reputation had been compromised by a leader who had forgotten that service begins with humanity. By late afternoon, Vanessa was called into a private office. The promotion she had expected was replaced with termination papers. Years of career ambition ended in a single meeting because she had chosen arrogance over empathy. She walked out of the same front doors where she had ordered security to remove Elias only a day earlier. This time no one applauded her success. Many employees quietly reflected on how quickly pride can destroy everything that talent alone cannot protect. News of the foundation's decision quietly spread throughout the local business community. People admired Elias not because he had access to great wealth, but because he never used it for revenge. He never demanded that Vanessa be punished. He never celebrated her downfall. He simply allowed the truth to reveal itself. The consequences came from her own actions. The bank that welcomed the foundation's $86 million treated Elias with genuine warmth from the moment he entered the building. The branch manager personally thanked every employee for showing equal respect to every customer, whether they deposited $10 or $10 million. Elias smiled because he knew he had found a place that shared the values his late wife had always believed in. Months later, the Rowan Family Legacy Foundation expanded its charitable programs across the city. New scholarships helped children who had lost parents. Grants repaired community playgrounds, funded school libraries, and supported families struggling with medical bills. Elias insisted that every project remain anonymous because he never wanted recognition. His greatest reward came from watching children laugh in safe parks under bright daytime skies and seeing parents experience hope again after difficult seasons. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Elias and Ivy visited one of those newly renovated playgrounds. Children filled the air with joyful laughter while parents smiled from nearby benches. Ivy reached into her backpack and handed her father a fresh drawing. This one showed the two of them standing beneath an even larger tree than before. Above them she had written, "Kindness grows into something bigger than money." Elias felt tears gather in his eyes. He realized that despite every hardship, his daughter had learned the lesson he hoped would guide her for the rest of her life. Years from now, very few people would remember the missing $9. Even fewer would remember the name of the bank manager who judged a stranger by his appearance. But countless families would remember the scholarships, the playgrounds, the food programs, and the opportunities created because one humble father refused to let bitterness replace compassion. Real wealth had never been the $86 million. Real wealth was the ability to change lives while remaining kind enough to see the value in every human being. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Kindness Tales Journey so more people can discover stories that remind us kindness always has the final word. Special request: before this story ends, please comment, "Kindness always wins," if you believe every person deserves respect, no matter how much money they have. As the sun slowly settled across the peaceful afternoon sky, Elias held Ivy's hand and walked home with a heart finally free from the weight of the past. He had lost nothing that truly mattered. Instead, he had gained something far greater than wealth, a future built on integrity, compassion, and the unshakable belief that even the smallest act of kindness can change countless lives. And that is why the greatest victories are never measured by the balance in a bank account, but by the goodness we leave behind in the hearts of others.